Well. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video. Quite frankly, I have no excuse to have been putting off videos for this long, but you see, I was trying to do a little something here and I'm still trying to do it, but I thought I might as well try to make a video out of this while I eventually get my way there. So, as you can see by the title, the gun that we are reviewing today is the M240B. So a little bit of a funny story. This is actually my old I was part of the military back in the day, and this was pretty much the machine gun that I used back in the day. It's almost similar, almost down to the wire. Of course there are some differences, as in this there were no rails or heat shields. Obviously I never had access to a suppressor because that would melt the gun. But other than that, it's very similar, other than the weird fact that this thing doesn't push out when you doesn't get pushed in when you put it on safe. But otherwise, this is pretty much a throwback to my old weapon back when I was serving in the military, so I'm quite excited. We got 7.62 by 51, and we have only one other magazine, and we're gonna be heading to the mall, Russian Mall. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Alright, so right out the gate, I feel like it's important to preface that yes, I was part of the military once upon a time. Fortunately, I had never ever been deployed before during COVID, so good for me. Uh, I'm a man who personally abhors violence. So I didn't enjoy my time being in the military, but I did get to shoot a very cool gun in the form of this gun specifically. So what's there to say about this gun? Well, it's a 7.62 by 51 gun. It was made about maybe 50 or so years ago. Very old. Very old one. The model that I used back in the time was majorly different from the model that's in game. And that's mainly because like I said in the title, that's mainly because there are no rails on the gun when I was using it. And this, of course, since it's a VR game, I have superhuman strength, and this gun is really light obviously. I can tell you that this gun was a quarter of my weight when I was in the military. So for any of you who know you know, units of measurements in kilograms and stuff, assuming you're not using Imperial, the gun weighed about maybe 12 kilograms, and I weighed about 53-ish or 50. And so, hey Rips, so basically carrying this thing was a pain. It was actually so pain that more often than not, all of the teams had to have a gunner and an assistant. The gunner would carry basically the gun and maybe a couple other miscellaneous things like maybe the scope or anything else that the assistant wouldn't carry. But however, on the other side of things, the assistant would carry the ammunition that's not currently in the gun, the cleaning kit of the gun, and maybe like I forgot. Oh, my assistant also used to carry bullet loops that were used to hold about 100 bullets. And actually, I still have it. I still have it with me. Like the military never asked for it back, so I kind of just kept it. I don't know if they actually want it back or not. But it is certain. But you know, both of us were actually really lightweights. My assistant was lighter than me, crazily enough, and so it ended up being a pretty crappy dynamic where both of us were not physically able to, you know, do. We're not physically gifted enough for this role, but we were slapped onto it anyways, for reasons. For reasons, I guess. It was definitely not a fun experience, but I can tell you that I did walk away with learning how to clean this gun, I suppose. I don't think we'll get to use the bipod much in this game, because this game is light enough to the point where you don't need to plant down, and also it's also, oh wait, I may actually be able to do this now. Hold on. Nope, can't do it. So okay, maybe if I crouch and then my it gets in the way. So this would basically be okay, so basically this would be how I used to shoot the gun, minus the laser sight, of course. I'd always lay down on the ground, prone, load in the gun, and then I would start shooting. Our tactics back in the day went as follows. We load the gun, we check clear, we get clearance to fire, and then we would say 21, 1, 2. And 21 is the window for us to fire, and then 1, 2 is the break for us. So 21, 1, 2. 21, 1, 2. 21, 1, 2. 21, 1, 2. That was our quote-unquote regime for firing, I guess you could call it that, or our standard operating procedure. But it's a video game, so you have the liberty of walking around and shooting the gun one-handed if you want. You think I can do this in real life? Hell no. Nobody can do this in real life, because carrying a 12 kilogram gun with 100 bullets is physically impossible unless you are like, I don't know, Dwayne Johnson or something. And you know, basically using it like it's a rifle is kind of using it like kind of like it's a rifle, like I am right now, is kind of stupid. But then again, once again, it's video game logic, so you shouldn't probably be too bent up over it. What else can I tell you about the gun? Well, so this mechanism over here is what you slap it, and then you pull the carry handle like this, and then you can push out the barrel. Typically, our operating procedure regulated us to you know, not destroy equipment. So about every 100 or 150 bullets we were, maybe like 200 or something, we were required to swap it out. Another thing that I forgot to mention was that we always had to, at any point in time, carry with us another one of these heavy ass barrels, and it came to the point where it was, yeah. and apart from that, we also had you could also how to disassemble the gun. You first make sure that it's clear. You just pull it back and fire it off, make sure that it's clear, make sure there's not anything. There was always there was a very standard checking drill that involves you pull the handle back, you put it onto safe, you open the top cover to make sure that there's nothing inside, nothing gunking up the barrel, and then you release the gun under control. And then once that's done, you either load in the ammo or you can start disassembling. To disassemble, what you would do is once you've cleared out the gun, at the back here, I guess I can't show it in this lighting, but at the back here you can see this thing right here that is there's like a little lever. If you press down on it, and and then you lift the buttstock up, the buttstock will come out, and then you can pull the charging handle back again to or no, there's this little like latch that is down here, that is on the bottom. You go and you push it in, and then you lift it up, and then that's when you pull the charging handle. And then you begin the painful process of cleaning the gun, I suppose. Huh, I got him. So, honestly, like, when I first saw this gun, like, live on stream, I saw what the gun was before I actually found one in Raid, but I was taken aback, my hands were shaking, because I at least expected, like, of all things, my military life to come back and haunt me in the weirdest ways, and apparently that weird way was apparently Scott being gracious enough to give me my old service machine gun in this game again. Is that Nikolai? That is Nikolai. I guess this is the other boss. It's a street sweeper. I guess there's not really much to say about it. I guess it's in concept, it's a pretty cool weapon, but just the fact that it is just the fact that it is, you know, a shotgun just kind of makes it weak. I mean, sure, it's cool and you can. But you can kind of do that with as easily with if you're going cheatsies, you could very easily do that with the John Wick Benelli M3, and at the highest level, anyways, if shotguns are not very viable, if we really want to get, you know, technical, but even if it were the case, the undisputed best rifle in the shotgun in the game, sorry, is still Saiga, cause the Saiga is magazine fed, and just by elimination of it being magazine fed, and not only being magazine fed, also having a 22 rounder, does kind of make this gun just a little bit weak. And it looks like you can't even put a suppressor on the end of it. Wow, that is actually very, very surprising. Alright, I'm 100 kilograms heavy now. Why am I not surprised? Guess we gotta employ the bag on bag out tactic. When we were fighting, we were expected to drop our bags before we entered the fight. I would do that, but I don't have the patience to do it. So I'm just gonna lug it around with me, which, I mean, of course it's a bad idea. Here, we'll just for this case, we'll take it off so that we can fight. I should be doing this more often, actually, taking my bag off so that I can fight and then coming in to retrieve it later. Cause I mean it's PvE anyways, right? So what's the need to what is the need to, you know, carry it around everywhere I go? I chose to not go with a laser sight or anything, or I chose to go with a laser sight in place of using an actual scope, because realistically you won't. I know it's very ironic to say realistically, because I mean, in the first place, like, aiming down this is a nightmare, and it's a good way to basically. It's a good way to basically mess up, because you wouldn't be able to see past the first few shots because the gun's gonna be jumping around so incredibly hard anyways. But oh yeah, the one thing that I didn't talk about, on my version of the gun of the M240B that we use, the gun would have 4 screws over here. I don't know if this is specifically modified for my army, or if it's like a common thing, but there would be 4 screws here, and then you could remove the screws and then put a plate onto it, and then basically that plate is like a little conversion thing for you to lock a mechanism on it that allows you to basically, it's like a flip mechanism which would then put a rail on here. And then what they would make us do is they would then make us put a giant night vision scope on it, which in its own right was especially heavy and really annoying to carry around. So more often than not, you find yourself you find us 2 shrimps arguing over who's to carry what. Hemorrhaging. Even the bipod looks pretty much similar. Actually, if you remove the heat shield and the rail, it will look pretty much exactly like my old machine gun. I say old like I wasn't in the military like literally 2 months ago. But it was an okay time, I guess. I didn't have the most fun, but it's not exactly like I was.
Hey, send me a book.
Alright, guess we're out of ammo. Oops. Yeah, ammo can run out pretty fast, especially when you're spraying down phoenixes that you can't see, I suppose. Let me get out of here. I'll continue talking about it in the next raid, but that is gonna be the first raid of the day. So what is there to say about what more is there to say about this gun? I mean, I guess I kind of enjoy using it. I mean, who wouldn't want to use a big gun in the military, right? You go play Call of Duty, you naturally see a big gun and you're like, ooh, I want to use that. And then you realize that it's nothing like it actually is in real life, and it's like 5 times the weight of what you thought it'd be, and you can't brandish it around like an assault rifle, like I am. So it's definitely a little bit of a shame that in favor of you know, gameplay, suspension of disbelief, or no, whatever it's called, you kind of have to not think about it, because I can tell you, if I did this, I would fall on my fucking ass. Doing this in of itself is hard enough as is already, really. And trust me, I've tried. Like, I've tried holding the gun like this. It could barely work, and also, you know, because of the standard of procedure, kind of barred me from doing anything other than just proning to shoot. Which I guess you could see it as a good thing, but when you're proning down on dirt and mud, you know, it's not, you know, Mr. Clean Freak over here. So military definitely wasn't a fun time. I mean, it can be an alright time depending on who you are, but who I was part of the infantry regiment, so you know. We never. It's very rarely you ever get to shoot like real bullets in my military, because we're kind of just like a training military in the event of you know, anything happening, then we shoot real bullets, but more often than not we shoot blanks, which is, I guess, a good thing, because it meant that I wouldn't have to actually, you know, do any killing. Funny story. Me and my assistant were the last ones to get clearance for this gun, and that was mainly because we were filling the role in for other people who had gotten sick, or you know, just faking illnesses to get out of having to do this strangest shit. So when everyone else went for training, we were barely qualified, and we were only good for the assistant. And since I was the gunner, I had to learn more than my assistant, because my assistant basically boiled down to carry the standard service rifle and all the heavy shit that he was made to carry. And good for him, I guess, considering that's all he has to do. But I will say, but the gun is pretty complicated. I mean, not so much once you actually figure out how to use it, as with everything. But it kind of came down to the point where one thing that was especially insulting to me was that I had gotten food poisoning at one point in time, and because I had gotten food poisoning, which, I mean, technically it's my fault, but how was I supposed to know that the food was dirty or whatever? It ended up being the case that for that specific exercise I couldn't go, because I mean, I didn't have a great track record. The prior exercise, I accidentally cut a small slash in my hand, and I couldn't do anything for a week because of the slash, and which, I mean, again, it's not my fault. I guess I should have been more careful about handling knives, but shit happens, you know. And then after that, this food poisoning thing happened, and so basically it ended up happening that my assistant, who had rarely ever touched a gun, ended up using the gun twice in a row, and people saw it as an invitation to start calling him the gunner instead of me. It was no longer, you know, it was no longer me being at the forefront, which was kind of insulting, because I was still the one shooting the gun at the end of the day, even though admittedly I hated shooting the gun, but that's not the point. Low-key insulting, you know. But whatever, it's over now. I mean, I'm still slightly bitter about it, but it's not exactly like I can do anything about it anymore. I think it's speaking of, like, you know, other weapons that are in the game that were from my military. One of the actual other guns that no one except for the people who used it actually used it is also in the game. It's the M1A SAS. The gun was used by the marksman team, although they actually didn't even shoot any actual bullets, and it's like a for real thing. I'm talking about, like, they didn't even shoot blanks. They had this stupid lasering system that was attached to their gun, and they would just shoot with that lasering system, which means that those people have never actually shot their weapon before, which is crazy. I mean, during like live firings to get clearance for the weapon or whatever, they shot it, but Outside of that, they've never had to clean their rifle before. Unlike us poor souls. Can you imagine having the clean like 300 bullets worth of you know, this? Just a blanket statement, I guess. 300 bullets is a lot of soot, you know. One that you have to clean off because it's military and they want the guns to be squeaky clean. Although, actually, funnily enough, my particular machine gun got deemed unserviceable for the very last exercise that we were gonna do before I exited service. And so what I did was they made me borrow a weapon from one of the other companies in the battalion, and I never cleaned the gun before returning it to them. I returned it to them in the dirty state that was me shooting like what? Actually, we didn't shoot that many bullets, so it's not as bad as it is. They gave us like 600 rounds for some fuck ass reason, and we only shot like 50 bullets because the mission went from us arriving there, then starting fire to we just kind of embarrassingly didn't really do anything at all. Also, we never had this. I always just carried the full like bullet loops around with me everywhere I go. Typically, what I would do is once I fit the bullets inside, I would coil the entire bullet loop around this place. Oh, they even have the flap. Cool. One of the worst things to carry was so you see this hole here and this hole here? That's for a tripod because apparently this bipod here isn't enough. So what they had was a standing tripod that was even heavier than the gun. Actually, it was heavier than the gun. It was heavily imbalanced, and basically what you would do is it was made entirely out of metal. You would have to prop it open, and then you would have to place the gun down on it, and then there would be like this little slot thing you slot in through here, and then basically you basically have a shooting station that you can turn this way and this way. That shit was absolutely miserable to carry because you know, it turns out that you know, the gun being heavy, you have to carry the cleaning kit, a second barrel, you have to also at times carry a night heat vision scope or whatever, and to top that all off, you also have to carry sometimes we also carried drones with us because they decided that obviously we weren't carrying enough, so they designated us to be reconnaissance drone flyers. You know, one of the teams crashed like 6 of those drones in in one exercise, and people were spitting that, like. And I hated flying the drones because it was expensive. One of the sergeants accidentally threw away, you know, those screws that I was talking about. One of the sergeants accidentally threw them away, and he decided to try to pin the blame on us to the sergeant major, but luckily our sergeant major was a cool guy and he wasn't taking his shit, so he fucked him over anyways for it. And then this sergeant still had the fucking cojones to go and try and make us pay for it. Try to make us pay for it. So for the replacement screws, to which I promptly told that sergeant to go fuck himself, cause you know, we were a different kind of military. Since we were all conscripts, we don't really take shit from each other. I would be more inclined to listen to my sergeant if he was actually if we were actually like volunteers, but the truth of the matter is that we weren't volunteers, and this guy was also a conscript, still being a grade A asshole. So fuck him. Oh yeah, so back to that last mission thing. The first mission, they made us walk, which was a complete deviation from the plan because too many people from the other companies had died, so they needed us to go and help boost their forces. But then by the time we got there, they had already finished fighting, so it was kind of like bullshit that I had to walk like 1 or 2 kilometers with this, you know, because walking that distance is not easy. Actually, I don't even think it was 1 or 2 kilometers. It's definitely longer than that. I think my brain is just trying to vehemently deny it ever happened by dumbing down the length that I had to walk. And then on the second mission, we had a defend mission in which I was being threatened with having to walk to a part of the forest in some butt fuck nowhere to dig a hole. But luckily, like, the people that were chosen decided that they were just gonna stay there, because what they had decided on was rotational shifts in which everyone would get a chance to do it, and then the troopers themselves just said, "Fuck it, we're just gonna stay here the entire time." So those guys were freaking homies, man. And then what else? And then the third mission, for some odd reason, and during the third mission, my assistant and my team sergeant got separated from me, as in, according to like because we were motorized infantry, so we drove in like transport vehicles. They separated me and from my assistant and my team sergeant. So what ended up happening was that all three of us had nothing to do for the final mission, and then I just slept in the transport vehicle until. So to be honest, my last mission, which was supposed to be really, really hard, didn't even end up being anything really. So my final mission, which is supposed to be allegedly just like huge shit as like a final goodbye to the military, of which I will not miss, it ended up just kind of happened to be so that I pretty much did nothing, because in the first mission I suffered from a mild heat stroke after walking however long that I did. And then the second one, it was a defend mission, and we died instantly from an airstrike, a fake airstrike, not a real airstrike. I probably wouldn't be here. And then on the third, they didn't even make us do anything anyways, because I was separated from my sergeant and my assistant. So I had the whole place to myself. I had the whole transport vehicle to myself to sleep. You know, they almost dragged me out to start walking with them, and I told them that this isn't correct, because I cannot function without. I'm legally not allowed to function without my assistant or my sergeant, or at the very least, I'm not allowed to function without my assistant. My sergeant, well, he took medical leave pretty often, so it ended up just being me and my assistant pretty often. But we were able to do things without any issue. It was just a problem of like, yeah, you can separate the gunner and the assistant from the sergeant, but you cannot separate the gunner from anybody else, and because I was the gunner, you know, I basically had free off from the third mission. And same thing for my sergeant as well. He wasn't really asked to do anything else the rest of that time, which I guess is a good thing, because the last thing we wanted to do was was go out and actually fight the mission. It was a blessing to basically not have to not have to do anything. But you know, it's like some people join the military for different reasons. Mine was a conscript, and basically most of us didn't enjoy our time there. The people who did enjoy their time there were basically just fucking around for the entire time, not taking gun safety seriously. Those kind of people, you know? Those kind of people that in a pinch you can't depend on them to save your life in any capacity. So, oh, and the people who decided to continue their service after their conscription service has ended were your, you know, typical grade A assholes, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of you know, anything that I have to think of that can be done with this weapon. Most of the other stories are just unrelated, me whining and crying about, you know, about this or that thing that was completely unfair. And to the credit, it was actually unfair, but the thing is that nothing much can be done about it at this point, because, well, it's already over. Reservice is definitely something to consider, but at some point during my military, like literally like 3 to 4 months in, I ended up getting runner's knee or jumper's knee, whatever it's called. But it's called patellar tendonitis, and basically after that I basically can't run anymore. So to my credit, I did everything that I could. That was some shit. Well, I guess that's about it for this MG video. Basically, it's just me dropping Okami lore, I suppose. I know I framed everything as not a very positive experience, but that's pretty much exactly what my military experience was. I mean, once again, this gun in real life is like 12 kilograms, and I weighed like 50 at the time, so not ideal. Sir, excuse you. Actually, funnily enough, during it was because I was playing Ghost of Tabor at the time that for like the final mission and whatever, I actually decided to buy canned mangoes just so that I can, you know, boost myself up a little bit before the final mission. But yeah, well, I guess that's about it for the video lately. I'll see y'all at the outro. Oh man, feels weird talking about my military again. Well, that is gonna be all for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Quite frankly, it was nice to talk about my military, in a forefront manner related to the one thing that really tied me to the military. I added Ripsa's thing here because of course. And yeah, it's just that I still like this gun. I mean, especially I like it now that I don't have to clean it after shooting 200 bullets out of it. So yeah, that will be all for the video. I hope to see you all in the next video. I know I don't post every single day, but I try to post as much as I can. And also, now that I am gonna be unemployed in 2 days after 3 weeks of being employed, I can dedicate a lot of my time back to streaming again. So see you all next time. Bye bye.